Welcome into the Command Center podcast. I'm Logan Paulson here with Fred Smoot and the guy who can't be cooler than cool, Santana Moss. With the glasses on.
You just put nothing on me.
I know, you get nothing.
Just Fred Smoot.
It's Fred Theodore Smoot is here. And this is the first time we can talk after the basketball game.
Oh, most definitely.
And I feel like
humbled me.
I feel like a lot of fans need to hear your perspective on the game.
You ain't gonna know.
It humbled me to the point of it made me say, you know what? You need to work out for boy. You know what? It made me say, I already been swimming one time since then. My bike got 2 days before we get here. You changed my life because I let a lot of people down by letting you beat me. So now I'm taking my health very serious right now.
And I know we've been on you a little bit. And I want to say this. After we finished that game and Fred laid down for about 15 minutes, he got back up and he shot the basketball pretty gosh darn good. It just took a total fatigue, total
my
system.
second win.
I told him he should have played horse instead of playing the game. I asked you in the middle of the game. Let's change it to horse. His pride won't let him do it.
Hey, but everybody seen the mall walker in the back, speed walking in the mall.
Yeah, and you can obviously check this out on YouTube on the last podcast. It's on the tail end of that. So, Tana's out there. Tana, I was impressed, man. You were running 300-yard shuttles, right?
Yeah, I did shuttles. I did 6 of them. And, I did it at my own pace, but
it was impressive.
I was warming up to go work out. So, don't be impressed. I had to still finish and go out there and get a whole lower body
I'm a new man, guy.
Yeah, so hopefully this starts you off on the right foot.
The way to start the new year. That's how I started the new year off, by being humble, and now I'm good.
Also, it was cold on Monday.
Yeah,
it was really cold on Monday, and I was taking my kids to school. I live right behind the school, so I'm walking them through the woods. And on the basketball court, there's a hawk.
Yeah.
Is
it just hanging on the goal?
I didn't have my phone with me. I also wanted to take a picture, but I was like, that hawk outside. It's right there.
It was literally a hawk. But we also had to take that hawk Monday night.
Oh.
Listen to me. That was the hawk flying through. That's what people mean, right?
Yeah, we did a show outside. It's coming out next week, I think.
Yeah.
Right? Next week. And we did it at DC Prime, really nice in front of the fire. But it was
he was out there.
It was chilly, and so the hawk,
that Atlanta hawk,
that hawk outside.
Yeah, it was.
He was hovering over our heads.
Yes, it was. They could drop a couple droppings on us.
All right, just a reminder. Wow, we're brought to you by Bet365. At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. We believe every sport should be epic. Right now, new customers can choose between 2 offers when they open an account at Bet365. Use the QR code to sign up, which is right over here someplace. Deposit $10 and choose between either First Bet safety net offer by placing a bet up to $1,000, and if your qualifying bet loses, you receive a match refund in bonus bets. Or bet and get offer and place a bet up of $5 or more and get $150 in bonus bets. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365, official sports betting partner of the Washington Commanders.
You must be 21 plus, physically located in Virginia. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and won't help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
1-800-GAMBLER. Great job, Fred. Yeah. Great job. Good way to remember the disclaimer. We forgot that last week. So good job. All right. So lots of stuff has happened.
Yes.
Since our last podcast.
Yes.
Right? Played a game. Been some changes. Mm-hmm. Ron Rivera's obviously been let go.
Yep.
I thought we could start this segment off just real quick by just saying, kind of reflecting on Ron's tenure. And, kind of giving the man his flowers a little bit. If there are flowers to give.
I would say a man who showed he can handle adversity at the highest level.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking about physically, mentally, and emotionally. When he came in, he had a tall task. Mm-hmm. All right, he looked it in the face, and he gave it everything he had.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I just look at the whole, coaches coming into this particular building here, this establishment. It's been tough for everybody.
Yes.
So I don't try to put too much more on him than it was the last guy, or the guy before that. So he came here, he tried to do something that hasn't been done yet, or I can say in a long time here. He took us to one playoff. He had only one, winning season. But hey, man, he did as most coaches have tried, and he was a good guy doing so. So he left here, the same guy that I saw come in. He was a guy that I had a lot of, I guess you can say, respect for, and he never lost it with me because I seen him go out there and fight through a lot, and he endured a lot, while doing so. Hats off to him, man. Everybody can't come in here and change things around, but he tried.
And I'm glad he got the coach for the last 5 games because I think I think he lost track of that because he had to be so much of a manager.
Yeah.
I'm glad he got to physically go in there with the players, and I think I seen a different glow to him when he started to do it.
Yeah, and you both talked about the adversity. Obviously, he had the cancer when he first got here, which was crazy, and I don't think people realized how sick he was.
Yeah.
Then you got the COVID year coming off the cancer.
The
and
worst.
You remember coming to the building around that time and like the regulations and the testing.
We had to take tests like every day. My nose was red.
Every day to come in, and then all the Zoom meetings and stuff. And obviously, other teams handled that adversity as well, but that's a lot in your first year. And then obviously the non-football stuff was a big part of that third year.
Yeah.
And then this year with the ownership change. So not a lot of kind of just straightforward.
I also dealt with the name change.
Yeah, that's a great point.
You know, like it was like one thing after another.
And you know, like, so obviously a lot of adversity. I think he, you know, there's some times where maybe made some questionable decisions, whatever. But I think overall, I think we all agree, really good dude.
Yeah.
Really kind of stayed the same the whole time. Good person.
Yep.
And, you know, I think a smarter football guy than I think a lot of people want to give him credit for.
Most definitely. Until you have a conversation with him, you'll never know.
Yeah, right. So, but I think that moves us on to the next part of the show. So thank you, Ron. Thank you for your time here.
Appreciate you, buddy.
We really appreciate it. Good luck with whatever's coming forward.
Yeah.
All right. Just a reminder, we're brought to you at Bet365. At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. We believe every sport should be epic. What's wrong? You all right?
No, I just thought it was quick that we.
I know, it's quick. We're moving on.
Oh, listen. Hey, let's drive the truck, brother.
That's why we offer an early payout offer. Get your straight bets paid out or parlay selections marked as winner when your team goes up by 17 points, regardless of whether the opponent comes back to win the game. Our early NFL payout offer has hit over 52 times this season. Use the QR code to sign up and see for yourself why it's never ordinary at Bet365, official sports betting partner of the Washington Commanders.
Must be 21 or older and physically located in Virginia. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
So obviously, Ron's gone. Big news. But the other kind of big point of news here is that Josh Harris and the ownership group have established this advisory committee, right? And it's got some pretty heavy hitters on the committee. Obviously, Josh Harris, Mitchell Rales, David Blitzer, Magic Johnson's on the committee, Rick Spielman, who you know very well, and then Bob Myers. So we talked about this a little bit yesterday on the Command Center show when we were recording it. But like, just what is your thoughts on this group and kind of their mission statement of finding the best head of football operations that they can find?
When the earth is in danger, they call on the Avengers. when Loki comes down, and you need something to be fixed, you got to put a group together.
Like the A-Team, the Avengers.
And that's what they done. And I like the non-bias of it. He didn't just say, hey, let's just find football guys. Let's find successful guys, and no matter what they do, and let's let them lead us in the right direction. So I feel good about I love people, no matter how high they get, to say, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, that's a powerful thing right there. And I think in the billionaires realm, they don't say I don't know much.
Yeah.
All right, because the world have proven them to be so perfect at what they do. They part of the 1% of the 1%. So I love that he got this power group together to say, point me in the right direction, help me get the right people in line so we can start. Because I think what they really want, they want a culture over culture. Meaning
culture over coaching.
Think about it. No matter who's doing anything at the Ravens, it's the same way, the same thing. At Pittsburgh, same way, same thing. No matter who around, no matter what's going on, I think that's what they want to achieve here.
You know, I think we get caught up in a world where, especially us, I think in our culture, where we was told that you got to go out here and do this to be successful, or you have to go out here and know this to be successful. Instead of saying that, you know, it's no one answer or one right answer. And when you look at most successful people, you know, it's not because they just woke up and said, oh, I'm successful, or someone gave me this. Most of them have a group of each other that helps. You know, the next man come up, and then before you know it, we all sitting up here in a room and we can talk the same talk and be able to, you know, spread our wings. When I look at this, I guess you can say this Avengers, you know, type of group that they kind of assemble. It just shows you that, you know, it's no one right way of doing things. You know what I mean? You can go out there and say, hey, all these guys have been successful in their fields. You know, whether it's you know, Magic Johnson and playing basketball and
Black Panther
and being a CEO and, you know, owning a lot of businesses, or whether it's the guy who who are some with the Golden State Warriors to all their championships.
And Tony Stark.
And then you have your guy Spielman who's done it, on different,
Is Josh
teams
Harris
in
Tony
this
Stark
league.
though? He's got to be Tony.
No,
Stark.
Josh Harris is Captain America.
Fred he gonna put the name.
It's Captain America.
But it just shows me that Josh say, hey man, I'm going to get all the guys who I have rubbed elbows with through my past or present, and see if they can help me build this organization back to prominence. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and I think I think the culture over coaching, or the culture. I don't know. You worded that very
culture over coaching.
Yeah, I think is really important too, because
very important.
The guys on here, right? Bob Myers, established a tremendous culture, right? Yeah. Magic Johnson has got this brand of winning. These guys that are on the ownership, the managing partners, all those kind of those people, they've been very successful, and all those things that they've done have been, I think, generated around strong cultures. And I think
all of these guys has one thing they all got in common: longevity. And whatever they do, they put that Golden State team together. They still together.
Yeah.
The core three are still. They understand relationships with sports.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people like to plug and play. Like, the one thing I can say about Philadelphia, I admire what they do, but I think sometimes when they bring in guys mid-season and want them to just fill in the gap, sometimes it don't work because the relationship ain't there yet.
Yeah.
So I think that's what all of these guys have in common. They value that.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree. And there's a couple names that have been reported on, according to Adam Scheffner, excuse me.
Yeah.
Nikki Javala and John Keim, obviously local. Keim does a great job. So does Nikki. But yeah, the head of football operations guys, names that are kind of on this list are Will McKay, Dallas VP player personnel, Adam Peters, that's kind of everyone's darling at the moment in terms of people that are really excited about, from the San Francisco 49ers, Mike Borzingi, is that how you say that? Borganzi. There we go. That was it, Tana. Nice job. From Kansas City, Ian Cunningham. From Chicago, he's assistant GM. Glenn Cook, Cleveland assistant GM. And Alec Hallaby from the Philadelphia Eagles. So one thing about those names that I like a lot is you get guys from, you talk about the culture, right? How that's it seems to be an important part of this advisory committee, right? To find this good leader, right? Is these guys are all from winning programs that have done a great job with talent evaluation. And people say, oh, what about Ian Cunningham? He's from Chicago.
I was going to say Alfred asked the same question.
He started his career in Baltimore.
Yeah.
He went to Philadelphia and then became the assistant GM. So talk about having a great pedigree about. Yeah. And again, like that position.
We could have three if they trade the quarterback. If they trade,
talking about two positions in the top 10. Right. So so again, I think Dallas does a great job. Say what you want about them. They found a quarterback.
They draft well.
They found skill position players, offensive linemen, Micah Parsons, obviously, Adam Peters, San Francisco. Talk about a vision for a team.
Yeah.
Like we talked about that when we played them. They are physical as all get out.
Yeah.
They draft guys who are physical. They embody kind of what they want to be. You can tell there's a strong connection there with the coaching staff and with the offensive identity. Great job by them. Kansas City, it's hard for me to kind of point Kansas City out because they have Patrick Mahomes, so it's like they can cover up all their personnel issues with that, but very successful, undeniable.
I think when you look at these guys, the one thing about the price of success, that's how you break championship teams up.
Yeah.
You either go steal the players or you go steal the personnel. And this is the price of success that we're watching, and I'm glad that we're only picking from the successful trees right now.
And I think it's success in a very specific type of way, though. It's like
culture.
It's the culture, right? And they've established a culture of winning. You can tell those teams have a very strong identity, which is obviously part of coaching, but it's also kind of through personnel. And I think the other thing is they seemingly all have a talent for identifying talent.
I think also too, when you're looking at these guys who we just kind of talked about, the one thing that's in common that's next to them is either vice president or assistant associate. You know what I mean? So they was there with someone else. Yeah. Someone else they was a part of a team that helped build whatever they have going on. So that's what they would be doing here. We'll be bringing them in to probably be the head of our ship, but you got to always think and put in the back of your head that they just not solely the guy that created what you see over there. That culture that
they got to be able to work with the head coach. Period.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. They got to be organically connected, and if they're not, it won't blossom.
And obviously, to Tana's point, I think the fact that they are in these positions of leadership,
Yeah.
I think is important, right? It's not like they're the GM, but they're the assistant GM. They're the assistant, the associate, whatever it is. So they're right there kind of in that stage right before they're all poised for those positions. And I think there is something to be said for making sure guys have experience, right? There's certain times where you're like, oh, the head scout gets the opportunity, or the regional scout. You're like, man, I feel like you're missing some steps there. None of these guys are missing steps. And I also think, John Keim brought this up on his podcast, so shout out to John Keim. They are all from winning programs or from teams in the division, and I think this is also a good time to get some information about how they do their process and how they view us.
Oh, no, it's called stealing.
We're stealing a little bit, right?
No, that's what that's what you do from trees that blossom.
Yeah.
Like, you remember being in the neighborhood, Tanner, if I walk past your house and you got a plum tree.
You got the mangoes hanging off your tree. If they on the side of this gate, I might go ahead and take me one.
I might have to take one. And that's just what it is. So at the end of the day, if you want to be good, there's only one way to do it.
Yeah.
And let's pick from the good.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's important to note that Adam Peters and Bob Myers know each other from their time in the Bay together.
Relationships.
So obviously those relationships are really important. We're not saying any one of these guys has an edge, but personal relationship are very important. Also, got names that have been put out by Adam Scheffner, Nikki Javala, and John Keim are the coaches. And I think in the coaching, I'm a little surprised, Tana, Fred.
What you surprised?
Because there are a lot of defensive guys. So you got Anthony Weaver from Baltimore. He's the assistant head coach, defensive line coach. Mike McDonald. I want to say McAdoo, but that's not right.
Ain't no wrong
McDonald. Baltimore, D.C. Raheem Morris, L.A., D.C. Dan Quinn, D.C. Ben Johnson, O.C. Obviously, he's kind of the belle of the ball for everybody at the moment. Aaron Glenn, D.C. and Bobby Slowick, Houston, O.C.
Well, really, now that I look in the playoffs, it's 7 offensive coaches and 5 defensive coaches in it.
What do you mean? Like, in terms
that
of
team in the playoffs,
right? And so this is interesting. So obviously, Josh Harris has said stuff like, "Oh, I really want to be analytics driven," and there is a slight discrepancy in this, but it's important to point out that offensive head coaches tend to be slightly more successful. So when I thought
quicker,
when I thought this list was going to come out, I thought offense. So, but I also think, kind of go back to the main point we were talking about with the head of football operations candidates. That these guys are all part of winning, physical, tough cultures. You know what I'm saying?
And like we were just talking about, what's the plus with candidates? With Dan Quinn, you're crippling the Dallas Cowboys.
Taking something from Dallas.
You're taking something from Dallas. You're bringing it here, and he knows that roster up and down. So he would know how to attack that roster, attack Dak Prescott, offensively and defensively. He'll know the weakness of the defensive players also.
And you can look at it vice versa. They'll know what he does well too. You know what I mean? And be able to. So I mean, I look at it like this. I really care less about whether it's offense or defense. But you made a great point yesterday when talking about just if you bring in that offensive guy, you don't have to worry about losing
them 2 years later.
You know what I mean? So instead of bringing that defensive coordinator to a head coach, he go get an offensive.
That's the only true advantage, I believe, because you guaranteed with success to lose the offensive coordinator.
100%.
Guaranteed.
So that's the only thing that stands out. But when you're trying to build something here, man, you kind of got to just say, hey, what's available? And you know what I mean, and who fits what we're trying to do. And
I also think it's important to point out, like, Dan Quinn's been a head coach, and
been to the Super Bowl.
I was with him in Atlanta, and I remember having conversations with him about, like, afterwards, after he got fired in Atlanta, he was like, I wish I would have prioritized not coaching development, but just making sure there was a succession plan. So there's a guy who knows, kind of like the blind spot of a defensive coordinator is usually that offensive coordinator spot. But he's like, if I get to do it again, I'm going to make sure I take care of that, right? Raheem Morris is a defensive coach from LA. We know him.
Been a head
coach also, but also is an offensive coach. He coached receivers when I was in Atlanta. He was the pass game coordinator there. So I like guys who, again, Dan Quinn, I think is innovative defensively. I like that Raheem Morris knows both sides of the ball.
Slowick knows both sides of the ball.
That's right. He's linebacker coach previously. Aaron Glenn is a guy that I think
personifies football.
And it kind of flipped that program around. It was part of the flip. And I think when you're looking at taking someone from a losing culture in Detroit to a winning culture, seeing that and seeing what that takes is also important. And so while maybe not the most effective defense at the moment in the NFL, they do innovative stuff, but also he got to see the transition.
Well, some of the things he did well is he know how to go out and get the right kind of cornerbacks too, and that's something that we've been having problems with. You look at him when he was in New Orleans. That cornerback play was superb. Now you see him over here in Detroit.
Yeah,
those guys are playing better. So I mean, I think when you look at just his pedigree, what he specialized in. One, he a DC, but he's a corner,
and he's a football player.
He's a
That's
football
the thing
player.
about the one thing he gonna have over some of these other coaches is relationships with players, communication with players, setting a standard with players. Understand that I'm a man that what I say is what I mean. Think about it. Number 3 pick, a cornerback from the Falcons. Not Adoka.
He was from Ohio State.
He traded him.
Yeah, he was there.
So he traded. So it showed that he don't. Whoever wins.
Yeah.
But also, so interesting there, and I think there's 2 names on here that really jump out to me. Right? It's Mike McDonald, because their defense in Baltimore since he's taken over has been awesome. I think it's top 5. It's like 3rd in points. It's third. It's this vaunted group. And again, innovative group, which I like. They understand how to break offenses. Physical. They understand also, Tana, how to maximize kind of unique talents. Like I think about Kyle Hamilton, how like no one really knew how to use him, and he goes to Baltimore. You're like, oh, they're going to figure it out. And I think obviously the position coach deserves a lot of credit. But he deserves a lot of credit. And the other guy on the list that I think is just the belle of the ball is Ben Johnson. And people say, why? It's because he calls offenses like Kyle Shanahan. And he knows how to maximize playmakers.
He's the hot.
He's probably the number 1 candidate in the NFL.
But like Belichick's tree. Everybody that come out that tree doesn't blossom because I don't know Ben Johnson personally. I think his play calling is innovative. But can he lead men? That's always the question with OCs and DCs.
That's a great
point.
Can
he lead men?
And the one thing I always say, because I'll be the first to tell you that I want that head coach that's going to be the a-hole at times. The one that's going to kind of
hard. I like that. Demanding.
Rub you wrong at times. But I think more so than anything, if you get the right kind of assistant coaches. Then you don't have to beat him. You know what I mean? You can be that manager or that person, but being that he has an offensive background, he's going to make sure he's going to be calling plays. But for everybody else, I'm just here to let you know I'm the guy, but I got everybody that's going to put you in line. So that's how I look at it. You know what I mean? Just get the right kind of coaches around you.
So y'all would say he's the mad scientist out the group? He's the most innovative?
I mean, Bobby Slowick obviously has done a great job in Houston, but I think if you look at his resume, Ben Johnson I'm talking about now, taking Jared Goff, a guy that everyone thought was cooked, and making him a top 10 quarterback the last couple of years, right? Developing a run game, developing an offensive identity, a culture of physicality. There's a lot there from a football standpoint.
I would say, X's and O's, we think he's, out of this group, he's the best. What about the best overall, who's the leader?
I don't know. I think that's the thing that's tough about
the leader of men part. I like Raheem. I like Raheem.
Dan Quinn.
Dan Quinn and Raheem, but I knew Raheem, so I remember.
You got a personal like I had with Slocum also, but I would say those 2 first because they've been there, done that.
They've been there, done that.
That proof's in the pudding.
And you actually had him in your building, and you knew how he was with guys that wasn't under his umbrella. You know what I mean? I remember being able to talk to Raheem. I'm an offensive guy, and just the communication that we had and the things he told me about myself. As from watching me, I used to be like, man, no coaches give you this kind of insight. You know what I mean? So that's a guy who you want to play for.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned that we both know Raheem. I know Dan. We all know Bobby.
Yeah, we know Bobby.
One thing they're excellent at is communicating with players and building relationship with players. So I'm assuming that 3 of the guys that we know just happen to be really good at that. I'm sure these other guys. That's something
I know Aaron Glenn too. So Glenn,
and I think Aaron Glenn. They just did an NFLPA survey
in New York.
I didn't look this up, but I should have. So he was second in the NFLPA poll for players recommending coaches that they liked. So number 1 was Frank Smith in Miami. I think he was number 2, which again is an endorsement of how he's.
So other players talk well about.
So the players on your team, they're saying, what do you think of this guy in terms of how he relates and communicates with you?
He was voted top 5.
I think top. I think he was 2. So Frank Smith again, another potential coaching. He's not been reported, but Aaron Glenn, I think, kind of encapsulates that stuff that we're talking about, which is leading men, but leading men at the NFL is different than in college where you can kind of be this austere, almost a bully. Here it's about communicating and building those relationships, and it just seems like they've got a bunch of guys. I was coach Anthony Weaver was on the staff when I was in Houston. Again, a guy who just people can communicate well. So lots of exciting football stuff there, obviously, and some big decisions yet to come. And we'll obviously keep you informed and up to date.
I want to know personally, what do you like? Do you like a newbie, a guy this your first time head coach?
It's a great question.
Or do you like a guy that's been there, done that? Or you want a fresh start? Because that's how we got Coach Gibbs, by them actually hiring him. He hadn't proved anything yet.
So a couple things here that I want to point out. One, I think young coordinators that become head coaches, young head coaches, tend to be a little bit hungrier to kind of prove themselves, right? I do think older coaches have better networks. And Tana talked about how important it is to hire good coordinators and good position coaches. So, like, Dan Quinn's been coaching for 25 years in the NFL.
So you know his staff
so
gonna be.
he's going to be like, oh, I know the perfect OC, I know the perfect D-line coach. And so he's got that at his disposal, unlike Bobby Sloak, who, again, is a good coach.
But he'll have to put a staff
But
together.
he's got to put it together, right? And so I had a conversation with someone who's up for a head coaching job, and he basically said to me, like, I want to make sure that I've coached long enough where my staff can be good enough to support me. Knowing enough people. So I think, obviously, the hunger, the desire, you see the Sean McVay, the Kyle Shanahans, the Mike McDaniels, you see that. But also that tree is so well
McConnell, all of them.
established that they all know each other. They can develop good staffs. They have a really good network. What are the networks going to be like here for them establishing coaching staffs? And I look at, Mike McDonald, for example. He obviously, that Baltimore tree is thick, in terms of guys you can trust. The Harbaugh.
Most definitely, if he come, he's saying, "Come with me."
Yeah, he's saying, "Come with me," and obviously he knows John Harbaugh from Michigan. He coached there last year. Good coaching staff there. So I think there's a lot of positive trees that they can draw from, and a lot of coaches they can build from. But I do love a young guy because they seem like they can relate. But obviously, Dan Quinn relates better than any coach I've ever had. He's a little bit of an older guy. So, all right, what is this segment called? This segment is called Commander's Advantages.
Yes, it is.
And it's brought to you by Northwest Federal Credit Union, the official credit union of the Washington Commanders. Stop searching, go Northwest. Check out nwfcu.org/Washington to see how easy it is to join and how Northwest can help make your money work for you. Stop by a branch or visit nwfcu.org/Washington today.
You handled that like Bob Barker. It was hard. It didn't come off as smooth when we first started doing it. But you got it now.
It's like just muscle memory at this point, right?
I know. I understand.
Yeah, you get it. We're all here, just like this show. All right, so Commander's Advantages. And basically the point of this segment, and I think you guys are going to have some really good insight on this, so I'm excited to hear what you got to say, is why is this job the job? That we just mentioned these coaches. We just mentioned those, the head of football operations candidates, right? Why would they pick this job? And I think the more you look at it,
it's irresistible.
There's a lot to like.
First of all, we know this about coaches. They about, I need to make the team look like like me. All right. Well, guess what? Not only do you have the most cap money for free agency, you also have all of these draft picks plus a couple of second-round picks, the number 2 pick. This team most definitely not, because it usually take 2 or 3 years for them to bend it to their will because they got a bad contract here, some here, a mainstay right here. No. This is clear as it's going to be. Clear as the upper card could ever be. This is best. Not only are you going to be a head coach in the NFCs, you will be known for bringing back one of the stalwart franchises back to glory, because that's what we got going on right now. # back to glory. You will be that dude. Not only do you bend this to your identity, you get to pick your own quarterback if you want to change. You get to pick your own offensive lineman. You get to really do whatever you want. This is the clay that can be molded.
Yeah. I was putting stuff down on my phone because I know as long as I thought he's going to talk a little longer.
He usually does talk a long. I have to. When Fred talks, I have to take notes too.
I got to stop.
That could be like a 15-minute little monologue.
So when you ask me why would this be a sexy spot, far as to come in there and be a coach, I look at destination. DC,
DMV.
Who don't want? I look at ownership. What this ownership.
Great ownership.
I love
brings
that.
you far as what they have done, their track record, and what they're trying to do. Then I look at the potential of a new stadium coming soon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's something probably years away from here.
But it's coming.
Probably no more than 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
And then I look at the cap space.
Yeah.
Out of your first year, the cap room you have to go out there and do what you do, especially when it comes to free agents, the draft picks that we have. I mean, you got 5 in the first.
Still can trade for
5 in the first,
3 rounds.
3 rounds.
Yeah.
And just, you're right, still can trade and get more for that.
Yeah.
Depending on what, where everything's starting to, add up when it comes to quarterbacks, who going to stay in the top 5, top 10, or who might drop. So you have so much wiggle room, I say, when it comes to this team. And just, man, look, who don't want to be here in D.C.? I feel like what's going on with this Harris group, I think it's going to be new.
It's exciting.
It's going to be new, and before you know it, it's going to be their stamp. They're going to be able to say, this is what we bring. This is who we are.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I think right now it still has that vibe or that feeling of that they're the new owners, but it's still someone else's team.
They still ain't put their fingerprint on it.
They haven't put their fingerprint or their foot in it enough yet.
Yeah.
So that would lead any coach to say, man, I want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
I see what these guys have done elsewhere. Let me come and join that and be a part of that group. And that's,
Yeah, and I think you mentioned ownership, and I think we got to give them a shout out because of how they handled Ron. I think it shows incoming coaches how they can trust what the owners say, right? Because they said, Ron, we're going to give you the end of the year. Ron landed the plane. They let Ron hang around the building a lot yesterday. They weren't like, here's your stuff, get out of here kind of thing. They treated him like a human being, and I think that was something with the old ownership that
it wasn't there.
That people didn't like, right? They didn't. If you're a coach coming in, you weren't always sure how you're going to be treated. The draft pick thing is great. The second overall pick is such a huge carrot, right? Now you get to pick. You're probably going to pick a quarterback. Obviously, it's going to be Drake May or Caleb Williams.
You could do a lot worse,
right? Or you trade the pick, whatever you're going to do, but that's a valuable piece, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned the top 5 picks in the first 3 rounds, but I look at the 36th pick, I look at the second pick overall.
That's a first-round pick.
I look at the 40th pick. You got a bunch of draft capital right there to kind of make some big impact moves, and there are going to be some good football players there. I started my draft prep over the last couple of days. There's some good football players going to be around there.
It's a lot of depth in this draft.
The cap space, Tana, you mentioned that, $86 million total cap. Effective cap is $63 million. That number I think is slightly misleading because they only have 27 people on the roster at the moment, right? So they got to re-sign.
Smidgen of a team.
Yeah, got to re-sign a lot of people, right? But I think, Fred, you brought this up.
Yeah,
that can kind of be a good thing.
Great thing.
Because it's oh shoot, well we got to fill a whole bunch of roster spots.
Thank you.
Let's get guys
that fit me,
that I want. Right?
I don't want the guy.
Let's get the guys that we see over there playing now. Playing on
who's playing Sunday.
Yeah.
All right? That's what I want to know. And I can say this: if you're listening out there, all right, you listening, the new guy. If you're listening, if you like baseball, if you like basketball, if you like hockey, don't forget, this ownership group, you can get you to a Devils game. We can get you to a 76ers game. And if you like baseball, we got you to the Dodgers games also. Don't forget that.
And the Nets. The Nets down the street, right?
We got you.
Yeah, and I also think ownership, I go back to ownership, how appetizing that makes this is they're going to let you do football stuff.
Yeah.
Yes,
they're not going to come. They're not going to come in and be like, you know what? I think you should take a quarterback here. It's well, he's not on our board.
Yeah, and this the 119 pick.
So I think that's something that that ownership, Tanner, you brought it up, and I think that's such a good point. Just having that scaffolding there.
And you get to meet the president of America if you come here.
President of America.
You guaranteed to meet the president.
Have you met the president of America?
Think about it. I've been here since 2001.
Have you met him?
I met one of them. Yeah, I met 2 of them. I met 3
of them.
Yeah,
who'd you meet?
I met Bush.
Bush, me too.
I read to the kids at the White House my first year in 2005.
Yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah, on Easter.
Yeah, I was going to say, it had to be Easter.
It was Easter.
How about
day.
you?
I
done met 3 different presidents.
What book did you read?
I can't remember. It was
probably Cat in the Hat.
It was something for some kindergarten to first, I think kindergarten to second grade group of kids that I was reading to.
Yeah.
But it was cool, man. And then I met Obama before he even became president.
Yeah, I met Obama.
He had his little, I guess you can say, when they kind of make their appearances, make their rounds, and you got different sponsors that's trying to, bring people, to awareness of this guy. It was a group that was in Maryland. I believe they asked me and Sean Springs to be a part of their party, and they sold out tickets. And Obama popped the square in front of me and talked to me about football, talking about about the Chicago Bears going to beat us that year.
Yeah,
and we beat Chicago. And all I can think about is,
Tanner,
who this dude, bro. When I tell you the guy sat there with me and Bluefoot, and
the bastard
had a cigarette. And, you know, Fred has a lot of those around.
That's why I was having a hard time with the basketball
But he
game
talked
the other day.
football, man, and
Yeah.
he talked about, and he knew us for one, and so I was kind of like,
And see, that's the shocking thing.
You know what I'm saying?
Every president know you, and you don't know it. Like they know Logan Paulson because they watch the game.
Maybe.
Yeah. So he talked
Just tell
football, and it was just crazy that season we needed to win that Chicago game to kind of get in the mix. And I had a big game, so I'm sitting there thinking to myself, he watching.
Yeah.
He watching.
See, people don't think
I
about
know he's
that.
sitting there saying, no, I talked to Tanner before this
Yep.
game, you know, earlier this year. But no, it was cool just to be able to chop it up with him. So, yeah, that's something neat. You know, you think about winning the Super Bowl, getting to do that. We actually had the opportunity here
and then
because
win the Super Bowl, still get to meet them. And don't forget about all the embassies here. So princesses, princes, kings,
course you said
queens,
princesses.
they watching you.
Yeah.
I met these
you heard
people.
the princesses.
Yeah, I'm just saying, y'all don't think about that stuff. 'Cause
I don't.
I have been overseas, and somebody was like, "Yeah, I come to the embassy all the time in DC. Like, we love watching." I'm like, "Wow!" Like I think sometimes we forget the reach of the DMV. If America is the most powerful country in the world, DC is the most powerful city in the world.
We are brought to you by Bet365. At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. We believe every sport should be epic. Right now, new customers can choose between two offers when they open an account at Bet365. Use the QR code to sign up, deposit 10, and choose between either. First bet safety net offer by placing a bet up to $1,000, and if your qualifying bet loses, you receive a match refund in bonus bets. Or bet and get offer and place a bet of $5 or more and get $150 in bonus bets. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary. Bet365, official sports betting partner of the Washington Commanders.
Yes, y'all.
Are you doing the disclaimer?
No, you supposed to did.
What? It's
you
my
do
turn?
the third one.
Man, we don't
just
do
hate
that.
reading?
I do. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Virginia. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone who you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
That's what I do. Logan, I got a problem with gambling. I can't stop shooting craps.
Well, we have a very special guest, guys.
It is her.
It is her.
Yeah.
Intern Caroline, victor of the fantasy football game. Congratulations. You guys aren't going to clap for her? Damn, Fred.
I'm sort of.
You're a hater.
I am a hater.
Hater. Fred's a hater.
Hate.
I had a question. I had a question. I think Jason can answer this. How did I end up playing London when he was undefeated when we played? I don't get it.
It wasn't like a playoff.
Jason rigged this thing. It was not correct what happened.
Oh, okay. So he played in the playoffs. So he lost in the playoff or something.
So
did he lose against me? Because he was 14-1
the
when I
guest is
played.
Caroline. Caroline, hi. Caroline, explain what
Well, I
happened.
understand that. Go ahead and explain to me, Caroline.
Look at those rings, girl. You got the championship ring on. We got to get that in camera. Yeah. You got 5 or 6 big rings on it. Like looks like Tom Brady out here. Here we go.
We ain't got. I lost my wedding ring. I ain't got a nail ring.
Winners win, guys. I mean, and Fred, give me a little slow clap.
Yeah.
Get that hate out
Come
your
on,
heart.
let me hold that coffee for it.
So what happened in the fantasy league was these two played in the loser bowl.
Who's the two? Me and Fred.
Yeah.
The toilet bowl.
Yes. We'll get to that later, but you two played in the loser bowl.
Jason.
You were the worst two teams.
Jason.
Nice.
And Tana played Ryan, our boss, in the semis.
Oh.
And so Ryan beat you.
Okay.
And
that's
then
what
I played
happened.
London in the semis, and I beat London.
Got you.
So
I was
you two were
wondering.
the consolation game.
Got you.
Yeah.
I was wondering how men
And
got
then
together.
you won.
And then I
you
won.
won it, yeah.
And you won in a demonstrative way, according to this sheet.
I know. Ryan kind of flopped because so Amari Cooper had like 50 points the week before,
Right.
but then he was listed as questionable, and I guess he like gambled and excuse me, wrong word. He made a
Well, we
Can
do
we
got
say
He
gamble
made
here?
an educated decision
Yeah.
about the health of a player.
Excuse me, Ryan wasn't gambling. There's no money involved in this, but he
Just
made
pride.
an educated.
Just pride.
Yeah, just pride. Some of us care more about it, but some of us don't.
Listen, if you
I
don't hate losing, you don't love
I
winning.
couldn't tell you one person on my
Guys
team,
like
which is
Well,
a
first
bad
of all,
deal.
this is what I know. Jason did not sub my guys properly. Jason did not
It's your
care.
team.
Hey,
It's your
listen to
team.
me. No,
First
he
of all,
drafted my team.
Once Jason drafted your team, you're supposed to take the liberty and go on there and check them out and do your stuff.
I know for
yourself.
3 weeks
You
he
be
had a
quick.
play.
You
I
cheered
probably
when
had
you
Justin
won one
Fields
game,
and he
and
ain't
then
even
now you
played
blame
for 3
Jason
weeks.
every time you lost.
Yeah, listen.
Yeah, it probably was really good. So, Caroline, who was on your team? And can we talk about why you were so successful this year?
Because we didn't really play.
But I mean, you're in like
But-
6. There was a couple games.
Now,
you
what was
didn't-
your overall record? What was your overall record?
Let's see.
Tell me that.
I
'Cause
feel like
think-
some cheating
Because you
went
got to
on.
understand something.
Some
Carolina
cheating.
just showed you the prime example of when it gets to that crunch time, anybody can take it home.
Oh, it's no logic to
Because
it.
London he was undefeated before he got into the damn playoffs, and then he just ended up losing 2 games.
Yeah,
I
he
actually
started
think I
eating
beat
a lot of
London
gluten.
once in the regular season when he
Did you?
was undefeated. So I think I
Okay.
beat him.
I think
once.
you did. I think that was the big. We
Yeah,
talked about
was,
that.
I think so too.
Okay.
But,
Leave a comment if you remember, fans. There you go.
I don't know. Basically, if you actually played fantasy, there was a lot of inconsistency
Okay.
within really good players.
Yeah, Justin Jefferson didn't
Yeah,
ball
he
out
did-
this year. A lot
Yeah.
of guys that you thought was going to be the core of your team.
Yeah.
Devontae Adams,
Justin Jefferson.
the receiver.
No, wasn't he like third? He was like leading the NFL. in
Nah,
receiving.
No, he just
He
went
hurt
over.
about
He got
six.
But then, he, but, then he got,
1,000
but then he got hurt.
He hurt about 6
Yeah.
But I'm saying he was like crushing it. So like,
No, but what he's saying is that particular day that you want that guy to be that guy, you can't either play him or when you do pick him,
You don't
he's
know.
hurt,
Yeah.
Okay.
and he doesn't show
I mean,
up. You see what I'm saying?
Justin Jefferson is like top 3 fantasy.
Yeah.
Like he had 1,000 yards and he missed 7 or 8 games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's,
So,
he's
I'm
like
down
that.
for it.
So did he
But-
still get 1,000 yards this year?
Yeah,
he
he
still
crossed
did.
1,000.
That is crazy.
I know. So,
Unbelievable.
anywho, he came alive again the last like few weeks. So I started rotating him back.
Oh.
So that definitely helped because he kind of came out the gate again, just like being good.
That is
But
crazy.
Devontae Adams too. Like the last
Nice.
few weeks, he was just like crushing it.
AP?
you
Yeah.
got a good team.
I also had Brees Hall, and in that one game against
Oh.
us, just
Set him over the top.
35, 37.
It's
like,
so
it was-
funny that I had Emmitt Smith on my team.
You didn't stop.
He ain't played for 26 years.
So obviously, very talented team. Let's talk. Let's make it commander centric here. This conversation. Best commander in fantasy.
Okay, so I
B-Rob?
actually, no, all right.
I would've said
So
B-Rob.
I looked up some actual numbers instead
I think
of
it was Sam.
Well, I didn't really count Sam in this because quarterbacks typically they should
A lot
get
of
the
points.
most. So
Okay.
I didn't include Sam in this, but he was the top if you were really going to go by that. I thought I'd get some actual numbers, so I didn't just Fred Smoot up here and spit some random numbers for you all. Thought I'd get some hardcore facts.
You know your
for
colleague
once.
well.
Just skiing here.
You know
Actually,
your
put
colleague
some,
well.
put some truth on this show for once.
Please.
I'm the Pope.
Oh my god.
So the top commander minus Sam was B-Rob. He had 171 total with 14 games played. 14.
So is that good? I have no context for that number.
It's pretty. Yeah, it's good. That's pretty
Pretty
good.
dope.
It's good.
I mean,
14?
for 14 games too.
Yeah.
And so the second was Terry with 161, but he was at 16. But he did drop a donut one week, which definitely hurt him.
Hurt.
Yeah, that was he
could've-
getting on everybody. I had him
Yeah.
too.
So
Tress Way probably with third.
and then I had Curtis at 3 with 122.
Oh, that
15
makes sense. I
games
mean, those are
played.
the most productive guys in the team, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And then, in your opinion, your expert opinion, now that you've won the Commanders Fantasy League, who was the
Was it-
breakout sleeper?
me,
Boy, please.
Boy, what?
Boy,
I was executive of the year.
No, wait, what? How could you possibly
the boy
be?
just blamed Jason for everything.
Now-
He's the executive
Hey,
of the year.
hey, Jason been hating on me for years. This ain't
Poor
just
guy.
And the dude he's too much for
I know.
himself, dog.
I know. It's like
He
I thought
forget what he
we'd
just
see a
did.
new Fred here, like more humbled after the basketball experience, but no, it's impossible.
I'm a humble, but I'm still talking.
You should just regroup for next year. Honestly.
ain't no letting the camp down. You gotta stay true to
I got
who you are.
you. I got you.
Okay, so breakout sleeper.
Yeah.
For my team, it was Brees Hall or George Pickens.
Okay, great. Those
Gotta
are
throw a
excellent,
Steeler
Yeah.
in there. of
excellent
course.
football players, and he was pretty explosive down the stretch there. Pickens,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. He was like kind of similar. That's what I'm saying. Inconsistency. Like
Yeah.
some
When the
games he's
quarterback
dropping
changed, that's when his
25, 30.
yards came.
I was gonna say
when it
also
went to
the
Rudolph,
coordinator, yeah.
it happened. But mine was probably my blow up guys was who?
I don't
You don't
know.
know.
Andre Rison, Sterling Sharp.
You don't even know who's on your team, which is okay, Fred. You didn't take it serious.
He's naming all these damn guys that played before.
I know. I know.
I guess
Hey, at the end of the day, Jason set me up for failure, and I failed. Like, what
You can't.
what
You can't say you're executive in the year
So
of
it's,
the year.
so it's like saying that you cheated off somebody's paper and they got it
And then
all
I'm
wrong.
mad 'cause they got help, and we both got help. Why you ain't study enough, dude?
your team like isn't awful.
Whose team?
Tell me what I got.
Oh, Jason's team that Fred is taking ownership of.
Or I rent the house from him.
Yeah. So what we got, Caroline?
So
Nobody.
He's got Tua. I mean, it's
Tua?
his
All
quarterback.
right.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
You didn't even know that was on your team. You didn't even know that.
right, who else?
I think the week you won, you have DJ Moore, and I'm pretty sure you played him.
Was it against us?
Yeah. Yes, I think it was.
He only had one good game against us.
You have Stephon.
No, he had 1,000.
I think he's over 1,000.
He had like 12.
Who's the second? Who's
Stephon
Diggs.
Diggs.
What are you?
He slowed down at the end of the year. Who else?
He's got Pacheco and Gibbs.
Pacheco
as your
missed
running
7
backs.
games.
What?
Man, listen, Jason
26 last
set me up for failure.
What'd you say, Caroline?
You had 26 points last game, and you have Swift. You have the Eagles running back.
He slowed down at the end of the year. Listen, Jason, he sabotaged me. I've been sabotaged before. Besides this, did nobody he called was successful. Do I got a Pro Bowler? Do I got one Pro Bowl?
Tua was in the MVP conversation for like 50% of
You
the
have
year.
also on your bench. You have Josh Jacobs and Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Neither one of them showed
good
up
running
this year.
backs. Tyler Lockett and
Listen.
DeAndre Hopkins.
Hey, listen, Tyler Lockett didn't have a big year.
And DeAndre Hopkins.
Hey, listen to me. This is the worst team
Oh
ever. Y'all gotta realize there's only 6 people in this.
You have Jonathan Taylor. What were you doing?
I know.
Dude?
What are you
You had
doing?
like
I had
Jonathan
the
running
worst
backs.
He
team
didn't care.
ever seen.
He didn't even know it was on his
Carolina,
team.
he didn't care.
He's just talking all that.
Every week we talked about this fantasy stuff, and do you think Fred went on that phone and looked at? No, he didn't care. He blames Jason. And the one week he won, I'm the champ. I'm the best.
Do you remember that?
I'm the best GM ever.
He beat me.
Who ever assembled anything?
Wait.
He beat me.
How did you beat everybody and then lose? Oh, that was the
Because I
week you
didn't-
didn't start
That's
somebody.
the one
Yeah.
you ain't starting nobody else.
Loss
He
is
had
a
DJ
loss.
Moore.
Loss is
Okay.
a loss.
Hey, Caroline, just
That's
tell him
so upsetting,
even the
but-
garbage gets a steak every now and then.
That's true.
Hey, listen. We were the last team when I was here to beat the evil Empire of New England
Yeah.
before they started winning 19 championships.
Yeah.
So I done had good victories now.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Carolina
So
ain't
back
the
to
first
Caroline.
good victory.
I mean, we're
she's
talking
she's
about-
the expert here on fantasy.
We're talking about fantasy.
Yeah.
You're talking about real life.
Well, we
It's
see
different.
why my fantasy
All right.
team
Who
lost.
was this year's fantasy MVP?
Worse.
MVP for me.
For your team or for our league?
For
I mean,
League.
for our league, probably Christian McCaffrey.
Ooh,
Harry Sanders.
he's pretty
Yeah,
good.
come on.
Darius Sanders.
For me, Josh Allen is good. Justin Jefferson's really good, but he missed a bunch of games.
Josh
So,
Allen.
Devontae.
If I could only had
Josh Allen, man.
Yeah.
I wish I had anybody that's still in the NFL.
He's my guy, dude. That
How
that
do you score
argument,
26
that
points
argument
in a
doesn't
week?
That argument doesn't work when we just read off your team of like
I
several good
didn't
football
have many
players.
guys.
I didn't have any guys. All right, and then can you give us analysis on the toilet bowl, which is between me and Fred, and why Fred won that game?
Let's go look at that.
Let's go look. Let's
Did I win?
You did win.
All right.
I had,
Let's go with the-
83 points somehow.
You the stankest
I
of
been say
all
what
stank.
I say what was the trophy? A frozen turd or something? What was the trophy?
I don't know. It is
Some
the toilet
tissue?
bowl. Some tissue. Some dirty tissue paper.
So you're telling me Logan got you in the basketball game and the toilet bowl same
no,
week?
I lost.
Oh, you lost.
I think I lost.
Oh yeah, you got killed
So
smooth.
so
you won
Fred
by a lot.
so Fred doesn't know anything about fantasy. I don't know. I know less than Fred.
You can't give Fred that credit, man. Give that credit to Jason. He just said.
So the score was 125.9 to 83.84. And I don't know a lot about fantasy, but that seems like a very small number.
Dude, DJ Moore again, just lit it up for you over there.
Thank you,
He didn't
DJ.
even know it.
That's my DJ.
Jason,
Go,
great job.
DJ.
Jason, great job.
That's my DJ.
All right, so,
Pacheco, God, dude, your team was pretty good. You should have tried a little harder. That's, I mean, come on.
Hey, I'm one of them guys, man.
So who-
Sometimes you gotta let that river flow.
Say that was a well-drafted team.
Not really.
I mean, if you actually
Not
rotate,
really.
I like
people
how
around.
you're giving Jason all this time. And our fantasy expert, Caroline, says that's a well-drafted team, so I'm going to trust Caroline.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
trust
I don't-
Carolina.
I mean, it's pretty solid. We had how many people were in our league?
Nobody goes to a restaurant that's pretty
It's only
solid.
6, so we all should get some.
Nobody
good
likes
Who's on-
players.
I don't
It's
even know who's
pretty
on my
solid.
team. Who scored the most points
Lamar. He was really good.
Look,
I mean,
the
he's
law
also
firm
could
of
be
Lamar.
fantasy MVP.
for me? And he
And
scored the
real
most points.
MVP.
Did anyone else score any points or no?
This is the unlucky part. Like your guys just had a bad day, just
Yeah.
straight up. Like
I've been on fantasy leagues like that, bro.
Yeah.
I have all the best, and they don't show up when it's time. to play.
I'm a what you call a fantasy league bandit because I done been in like 6 fantasy
So-
leagues and I have yet to pay off any money.
So,
I think I'm running in the
so
end.
Caroline, because you're the expert, if you're giving someone advice for fantasy football,
Ain't none of
what's the advice?
I'm not the expert.
You
I'm in a
won.
league with Fred.
Playing a league with
Yeah,
Fred.
No, here go the
That's first
Bingo.
advice.
No, this is the
first
advice
Drop
I
the
give
mic.
people. Whoever was hot the year before, that's gonna be at the top of the draft. Don't draft them because they won't have hot back-to-back big old years. Justin Jefferson was number one. I'm telling
That advice.
no, look at all the top fantasy guys from the year before and tell me what they did this year. Justin Jefferson went at the top of it. A lot of these guys were not at the top that was at the top the year before.
Christian McCaffrey's been the top fantasy guy for
Debo
few
wasn't
years.
there.
Lamar also really good fantasy, really
Yeah,
good.
this probably been his biggest fantasy year this year.
I mean, he won MVP like 2019, 2020. Like
Yeah.
he won it. Nothing.
Not
yeah,
really.
Yeah. But so what's the advice?
The advice. So I don't know the exact thing for. I don't know if our league was. Running backs when they catch a pass, it counts as a point. So it was. So you want to get a running back that catches the ball a lot too, because they just get a quick point just straight off an easy pass.
That would have been good thinking
So-
about that.
I mean, Christian
I didn't even
McCaffrey
know
runs
that.
the ball for 10 yards. That's a point. So I think about how many times he gets just a plain run for
10 yards.
10 yards. Against us, it was quite a few times. So he does that. He catches a few passes, and then he scores a touchdown. He had a touchdown streak of like 17 games.
Yeah.
So he's my number one fantasy guy, and Lamar's also just been playing out of this world.
So your advice is find good football
No,
players.
find dual threats. Yeah, find dual threats.
Find dual threats, and then find a sleeper. Like I had Olave on the Saints, and he was pretty good some weeks, but
So how do you make the decision to say Olave is going to
We're
start
gonna
this
have to
week?
boo this.
so
woman.
I thought that he would be the Saints' number one wide receiver pretty much because Michael Thomas
Michael
never plays.
Thomas.
But he never plays.
Right.
So my thought process was, oh yeah, Derek Carr's gonna throw him the ball a lot. Didn't really a lot of
Yeah,
weeks,
right.
but it's worth a shot. You have to find somebody that
A sleeper.
one of these people when everyone's drafting all the notorious.
This is
good
the
guys.
analysis from the expert.
Boo!
Find good football players that score touchdowns and
Easy.
catch passes.
In our league where you can
Check,
pick all the players.
and then find a sleeper.
And don't let Jason draft your team. How about that?
We've just
Also,
proven that that's
yeah,
not a real
don't
thing.
also draft a quarterback.
Caroline drafted her
second,
own
third
team.
round. Like one
She
of
the-
y'all drafted a
she-
quarterback.
She is the only one
Really
drafting her
early.
own team, and she won.
I dropped my quarterback
Yeah,
early.
Tana and I were doing it live.
I had mine, but I wasn't playing around. I had Pat Mahomes.
Yeah.
And then I had backups. I had a slew of backups for him. Now we only had, it was only 6 players in this league, so I had a gang. Let me tell you my list. Let me read my list.
And that's the thing. See, the two people that took their destiny in their hand, they had higher scores than the people that Jason took care of.
I let the computer do mine because I'm not going to put that evil on Jason.
I mean, Jason's team was better than Logan's.
So this is my team
On
right
paper.
here. My team was
thank you, Caroline, for supporting Jason.
yeah. We
Like,
know
I'm just
it's
saying,
all Jason
But
behind.
Fred's always like, the computer picks, and it's better the AI,
Listen.
technology.
Listen, hey, see
look.
y'all got y'all version. I got the truth.
Check out my guys.
Okay,
I had Pat Mahomes.
That's pretty good.
These are the guys that started like the last couple of weeks for me. I had Pat
Patrick.
Mahomes, Mike Evans,
Metcalf.
DJ Metcalf, Zay Flowers,
That's all you need.
Montgomery, A-Chain, Laporta,
That
and
don't sound
Njoku.
nothing like my
Laporta.
team.
I like that. That seems like a
And
sleeper to
Njoku.
me.
And then I had on the
Sleeper.
bench. I had
Yeah, I
like that.
my bench was Dotson. I had Tyreek Hill on the bench because he hurt his ankle. He was playing for me the whole year.
That don't sound nothing like my team.
I had Robinson on the bench. I had C.J. Stroud on the bench.
Can't even.
Man, come
I like how you.
on,
I like how he got his phone out
I
to
had
look at his
Ferguson
team,
on the bench.
and he can't even figure out where it is.
I
My
pulled my
kicker-
phone out to text.
Look, my kicker was Tucker, and my defense was the Jets.
Your team
Ooh,
was
that's not a
really
bad
good.
day. That's
But
not a
you
bad.
see, but this is my
You just
thing.
got unlucky.
This is my point. I got third in the league, but my point is, you see all I had. You just have to know when to put them in because I had Tyreek Hill in that one game. That's why he ended up on my bench because he was hurt that game and I didn't know. And I gambled, like she said, I gambled and say, oh, he's gonna play. They say he
Sound
was
like mine.
questionable and he didn't play. So, when things blew up in my face the next week, he wasn't playing at all. So I benched him, and that's the week he had like 16 points. So
Yep.
All right, Caroline. Final thoughts. Anything you want to add?
Nothing much. Just
I
want to
had Kirk
say
Cousins.
thanks for having me. And
victory lap. That's all.
yeah, it's my victory lap.
Yeah. Well, congrats on winning. Well deserved. Big rings. Show everybody out. Thanks so much for providing that great insight. And that's going to do it for today's show.
Yep.
Make sure you guys tune in on YouTube. And are we still doing 2 shows, or what are we doing now, Jason? What's the once a week now? We're moving to once a week for the off seasons, but you can check us out on Spotify and YouTube. Thanks so much. We are brought to you by Bet365. At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. We believe every sport should be epic. That's why we offer an in-game experience which covers 78 sports and 780,000 live streams to 90 million customers worldwide.
Our online betting brand is powered by a world-class proprietary product and over 7,000 employees across the globe. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365, the official sports betting partner of the Washington Commanders. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Virginia. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.